Welcome to episode 43 of the Animorphs Read Along broadcast. Today we are talking about book 37, appropriately titled The Weakness. I've come down kind of hard on some Animorph books in the past, but I just need to be clear. Those were Animorph books. This is not an Animorph book. This is a farce. To me, this is absolutely the worst thing that ever happened in this series, and I don't even really consider it canon. There are so many things wrong with this book, but primarily this. In my own personal school of literary criticism, it is a far greater sin to use bad characterization to propel the plot than to use bad plot to propel characterization. I'm generally pretty okay with bad plot. It's not ideal, but I'll accept it. This book is the epitome of bad characterization. This book is not narrated by Rachel. This book is narrated by some grotesque caricature from an alternate universe. I have a theory about this book, and I genuinely believe this. I think the ghostwriter prepared for this book by reading book 32, and I think that was the only Animorph book she ever read. Because this Rachel is so far off base and so ludicrously characterized that I feel like she must have been working off of what she learned from Crazy Rachel and Weak Rachel and trying to combine those into some sort of brand new character that she just made up. I don't even want to talk about the plot because it pains me, but I'm going to do it. Okay, so in this book, Jake is out of town, and Tobias has discovered Visser 3's new feeding grounds. They decide to go after him and they try to kill him. Of course, they fail, and during this process, they discover that Visser 3 is being visited by an inspector from the Council of 13 who is basically evaluating his work on Earth. Rachel comes up with an idea to basically wreak havoc to make it look like Visser 3 is doing a really bad job. This is an okay plan. Unfortunately, due to Rachel's recklessness, Cassie ends up getting captured and taken out to the year pool. The remaining four end up stealing a commercial jet, crashing it into a building that they know leads down into the Yeerk pool. They rescue Cassie, they kill the inspector, they escape. Where do I begin in breaking down this story? There are so many levels on which the story does not work. Jake is the leader of the Animorphs, and he makes the quick calls when they're in life and death situations, but he is by no means a dictator, and the Animorphs do not always listen to him. We saw them totally disregard Jake's orders in 31 and act on their own terms and come up with their own plan in order to fix the situation with Tom. There have been countless times that Animorphs have been in situations where they had to act alone. The idea that the Animorphs are helpless and lost without Jake is just nonsense. Rachel does seem like the next obvious choice for who would be in charge in Jake's absence, but the way that she responds to this power is totally irrational. The annoying thing is Rachel's not the only one in this book who is poorly written. Marco is a disaster in this book. Tobias and Cassie, not great. Axe is the only character who's even close to being correct. One of the things that I hate the most about this book is this weird running theme in Rachel's mind of being a warrior, being a king, being the hero of the story. That's not Rachel. Rachel's not some glory hound who wants praise and recognition. She doesn't view herself as a king. She's not wildly irrational. She's not dismissive of her friends' opinions. Yes, maybe sometimes she's a loose cannon, but she's not a moron. I need to stop, so we're just going to take a minute to read aloud some of the most ridiculously out-of-character moments in this story. I saw one guy. Tobias began, silent until now. He fell. He was kind of old. What if he had a heart attack or whatever? Just keep track of time for us, Axe, Tobias said. At 4 minutes, we get ready to bail. Hey, I thought I was giving the orders, I blurted, annoyed. I mean, am I wrong about that? Now I am in charge, and now the Yeerks are going to pay. Jake would be proud of me when he got back. Or maybe a little jealous. Maybe even a lot jealous. That was okay, too. Things changed, people changed, situations changed. Jake had been the leader for a long time. Maybe it was time he took a well-deserved rest. Marco, stop. I'm sure Rachel feels bad enough. And she should, Marco whirled to glare at me. I lowered my head and the tears spilled faster. Nice, Rachel, Marco spat. The don't be mean to me, I'm a girl thing is pathetic. Who wrote this? I just feel like everything about this book is working off of these blatantly false assumptions that the Animorphs have no teamwork skills, that they're not friends, that they don't respect each other, that they're not rational. This book does not exist to me from here on out. It is not real. I'm never thinking about it. I'm never reading it again. No, but really, this is one of the only books I think that I would say is not worth reading in the Animorph series. it's just not worth reading. It's a shame, because this idea of Rachel wanting to lead and having these very subtle power struggles with Jake and having a different idea of how to do things is not completely new. There has been this very slow kind of buildup of this idea. But this was a storyline that needed to be handled with subtlety and with a deep understanding of the characters. But instead it was handled with the finesse of a busy lemur playing pin the tail on the donkey with a sledgehammer. And that is why Animorphs 37 is a piece of garbage. And those are all my thoughts about Animorphs number 37, The Weakness. If you want to keep up with this read-along, subscribe to this channel or follow me on Twitter. The next book is book number 38, The Arrival, and it can only get better from here.